I look like a crazy person right now. I just got back from the gym because I needed to blow off some steam. Fair warning, I'm about to start screaming and spitting. This is probably the most emotion you will ever see from me. I'm about to get animated like a Pixar character, red in the face with steam coming out of my ears, because I am infuriated. I am livid. I've made a couple videos bringing you up to speed on a situation I've been dealing with U.S. immigration. In a nutshell,
boy.
our esports
boy.
team, Moist Esports, has one of the best Apex rosters in the world right now. We're second place in NA, and we're in a really good position to win the major. But the major is happening on U.S. soil, and the red-blooded patriots at U.S. immigration refuse to let our team come in. Our team is Australian. So we are initially...
So it's not even like these guys are from like China or like Iran or something like that, or Russia. They're from Australia? What the fuck?
He's actually really right about this. Australia is not China, Russia, or Iran. It's pretty comfortably outside of them. In fact, I would say it's not even close to those places, so he's definitely right about that.
Blind and had to pivot, get them to Canada so they could compete in NA this split. And we resubmitted, and our resubmission has just been declined again for legitimately no real reason, because the fucking glue-eating, crack-smoking, coke-snorting, lobotomite morons at U.S. immigration just don't want them in the country for whatever reason they're drumming up here. We have been working with the best lawyers in the industry, the best lawyers on this fucking planet that specialize in this field, and none of them can believe that we've been declined again. They've never had these issues before, so they're as stunned as we are. We even have one of the highest level executives at EA going to bat for us with U.S. immigration, lobbying for us to try and get our team in here, because our team is very important to the esport because we are so highly ranked. And even with the goddamn Avengers on our side, U.S. immigration slams the door in our face and turns us away like it's a...
I hope that Charlie understands that this is probably... Well, it's probably for sure because they're just lazy at the government and they don't really do anything. It's not personal. They're just lazy and they don't do anything.
This is an interesting point because they are actually rejecting the claim, but perhaps it's definitely possible. I wouldn't be shocked if the people of the government were lazy. It's just an interesting thing to assert. Like, I do wonder if there's like some sort of underlying reason, but it doesn't seem like there would be a valid one. So, just interesting thing to bring up.
Cross house party in college. They're Australian gamers. We're not trying to sneak in fucking Viltrumite aliens. What is the issue? Gadzooks, I would hate to meet our U.S. immigration agent in real life. It'd be like meeting Voldemort. It'd be like meeting Scrooge. Like an absolute joyless fucking husk of a zombie. It can't even be a real soul. There's no way there's a human being.
No, there's not a human being. There's 20 human beings that have this job, and they don't talk to each other.
Now, just for a little background, he's worked in the government before, so he might actually know about how many people would have a given job and whether or not they would talk to each other. For the unacquainted, you might just think that he's pulling it out of his ass, but...
Meeting every other month for like 30 minutes. And that's how this happens.
That's handling our case. It's not possible. Because they're...
He does come in with a lot of confidence, though. He assumes immediately that he knows what's wrong. He knows exactly what happened on the immigration end of things, which I feel like is pretty bold. I mean, I feel like it's very, it's fair to that you can make a pretty educated guess what he's saying.
There's no reason we would keep being declined. They're not even giving us reasons that make any sense at all. Not to us, not to the lawyers, not to anybody. Nobody. And no other esports team has had this problem. Every other org that has international players got in lickety-split. They fucking speed ran. Meanwhile, we can't. We literally can't. I'm convinced that if Jesus Christ...
The reason why is because Cassandra probably processed his forms and it wasn't Bill.
Who is Cassandra?
Bill, and Cassandra was on her phone, and so she didn't read the forms very well. She wasn't paying attention because she was busy that day and she didn't really feel like giving a fuck. And so that's just what happens.
I think we could take away that Cassandra's pretty irrelevant here.
Yep. This is why any time that I make a payment to the government, I like triple screenshot, save, like confirmation code.
See, you could tell this story isn't true because you would never take 3 screenshots of everything. What the fuck is a triple screenshot? That doesn't make any sense. If you were gonna take a screenshot and you wanted 3 screenshots, you would simply copy the initial screenshot 2 additional times. And taking a screenshot on your computer doesn't even save it automatically, unless he uses a Mac, which I can't imagine he does. So, I just feel like that's like a great sign that this, what he's like explaining, is not only hyperbolized, but perhaps entirely fabricated.
Have it backed up on like 2 different places because like there have been times where I've paid them like $10,000 or $20,000 for something, and then they just send me, they're like, well, we didn't get it. What the fuck do you mean you didn't get it? And I call it up, they're like, oh wow, so we did get it. Okay, see ya.
See, he says that like it's happened multiple times and he's lost, I think he said $20,000. I feel like that's not sustainable. If that's happened multiple times, because first of all, that's never happened to me with any amount of money for, like, paying the government money. But, like, he didn't even say taxes. He just said I have to send them money for something. I just... I don't know. I feel like he made it up. I feel like he made it all up.
Resurrected right now,
Yep.
U.S. immigration would turn him away. He wouldn't be allowed in here. We'd never see him. Now let me slow down real quick, because maybe you guys aren't understanding why this is such a big deal. Our team is one of the best in the world, and this major is huge. It's massive, and obviously we're very passionate about this game and this esport.
You
So
would hope.
they need to get into the
You would
country
hope.
to play in this major, because it's an in-person land. They can't compete from Canada. It's happening in America.
Oh god. Oh my god, I just realized. Imagine explaining what the difference is between playing an online video game and a LAN is to the people who run the immigration office.
Oh my god. He's actually so right about that, because the people who run the immigration office are probably so out of touch that they just don't even know what a LAN is. Like, they couldn't possibly understand. So you're not playing on the same device, but you still need to be in the same place? That doesn't make any fucking sense. I use the internet all the time for Googles and whatnot.
Oh fuck. Can they do that
Jesus
on
fuck.
Wi-Fi? Why can't they just do it on the internet?
Exactly.
What
That's
if
what they would
use
think.
really good internet?
That's what they would think. They'd say
Well,
just
why
get
can't they
fiber.
just
They'd
do
just
it
say
from
get fiber.
Australia?
They'd say get fiber and get fucked.
The home of the fucking cheeseburger and the Budweiser.
Oh
it's
my
happening
God.
here. So they need
Does
to be
this
here
benefit
physically
China?
to compete in it. No hologram.
I don't know why this would benefit China. I don't think that denying an esports team entrance into the United States from Australia could benefit China in any conceivable way. Unless you're talking about the Chinese esports team, which I don't know if that's actually a thing. I don't know if that exists. But as we established, this really doesn't have much to do with China, Russia, or I believe Iran.
No force ghosts, no AI, duplicate, replicants, nothing. It's got to be them, flesh and blood, which is off the table now.
Wow.
I think a lot of people had a bit
Wow.
of confusion with the last video I made about this, because the Apex Boys, our team, has been in America before. We've even made videos.
I've already... Oh boy.
Together with
Oh
at our
jeez.
warehouse. But there's a difference, because they were only here for like 2 weeks. I think it was even less than 2 weeks. And then the major was overseas. So they weren't here for a long time. This time around, we needed a different process, because they were going to play the whole split in A. So it needed to go
Oh.
through an entirely different procedure to allow them to stay here for that period. And since we keep getting declined, they are now no longer allowed to just come here temporarily. All of that's halted because they're under our Moist Esports blanket. Now they can't come here just for like that 2 weeks or anything. It's totally different. It's all changed, which is why we had to work with so many lawyers to try and get this process moving, and we just kept getting declined. So now they can't come into the country.
Yeah, because what if it's just some fucking 58-year-old guy who's like, why do they need to come here to play a video game? Can't they just do that online?
See, now I feel like this is pretty similar to the last thing he said, but this time instead of he like changed the character, the hypothetical government employee, but like I feel like it had a little bit more power to it the first time he said, "Imagine explaining what land means to an immigration officer," and now he's kind of just saying that again. I don't know if it was worth pausing the video to make that point.
I don't see the reason for this decline. Yeah, we don't need more people here. Fuck that. I mean, that's so scary, man.
For this major,
I don't know if it was that scary, but maybe a little bit.
they couldn't even show
Jesus.
up on the day to compete. Plus, they wouldn't want to do that anyway because they want time to practice, obviously. So that leaves us with only one fucking option left, and that's to cut our team. We have to release
Naturally.
one of the best
Naturally.
teams in the entire Apex circuit, because that's the only way they're going to be allowed in the country. They can come here as long as they're not being represented by us. As long as they are not represented by any org right now, they can come here and compete. So that's our
Oh, now it's getting real dumb. Oh.
I was actually a little curious about how dumb it was getting, so I'm really glad that he cleared that up, because I don't know if I was following along as well with what Charlie was saying. So that's kind of why you want to make these sorts of videos, though. You need to kind of guide the audience to know what emotions they're supposed to feel.
Now we know it's the government. You have to understand that the people at the government, what is the goal of the government bureaucracy?
Self-preservation.
To continue the existence of the government bureaucracy.
That's what I'm saying.
So if this process was simple, then a lot of them would be fired. So it's in their best interest to create this like unfathomable tapestry of problems that you have to go through.
I have never seen a tapestry I couldn't fathom, but I invite the person who would try.
In order to figure out what you need to do. That's the reason. So dumb and slow, yes. And whenever I worked at the government, this is the way it was. And the problem...
See, here he actually talks about it, how he worked in the government. So I wasn't just talking out my ass earlier. I happen to be right. So just so you guys know, he did work at the government. That's why he knows Candace and Bill from earlier. So, just so you...
problem is that whenever they get to the bottom of this, it will be no one's fault. Because the responsibility is dispersed between so many people that nobody can ever do anything wrong. It's just the way it is.
only option because we obviously want the best for these guys. We want them to shine at the major. So in order to do that, we have to let them go. It's like that fucking scene in Pokemon when Ash sets down the Pikachu and runs away crying. That's us. That is literally what we have to do with our team right now. We have to cut them so that way they can compete at the major. Because we're out of time. We can't resubmit again because this process is
That's embarrassing.
abominably fucking slow.
It is embarrassing.
Weeks just to get 2 sentences back from the U.S. immigration dinosaurs, the fucking fossils that are just bones and dust in those chairs at the agency there. Like, we can't do this again because we don't have time. The major...
Now, I don't know if we're ever going to get his assessment on whether or not this is as bad as we've seen him beyond the title of the video being I've never seen him this mad. But, I mean, he's clearly mad. He's obviously pissed. But I feel like he is still pretty collected, all things considered.
is right around the corner. So, we are officially releasing the
And I'm just hoping we get some commentary on that. That's
Moist Apex Squad. Unfortunately, we got the bad ending to this fucking playthrough here. And it's no fault of our own, by the way. We did everything by the books. We worked with other orgs, too, and so many different lawyers that specialize in this. And we did everything right. And still got slapped by U.S. immigration raid bosses.
I do wonder, why did this actually happen? Because, like, I assume that it's probably just somebody who's dumb that doesn't know how to do their job. That's probably what I would assume, but I don't know.
Ridiculous.
You know, yeah, it's interesting. It's interesting because like he's worked for the government before, but doesn't even know why it happened, which I feel like is kind of the premise of the video is that we don't know why it happened. But like not everyone might have picked up on that.
Easy
So,
government.
I actually cooked up a theory.
And once again, the government, just in case you guys forgot, lazy.
One
Okay,
that
okay.
a couple of
Okay,
lawyers
okay.
actually agreed with me on as the most likely culprit for why we kept getting declined and are still currently rejected. our name. I hypothesize
It could be because they thought it was porn.
this
You see, the reason they might have thought it was porn is because of the word moist, which has been over the years kind of more and more associated with the pornographic or sexual in nature, despite the fact that it really could just describe any moist environment, you know, anything if there's like a little bit too much humidity today, it's moist out.
this in the last video I made, but I wasn't entirely subscribing to that belief until now. The name Moist Esports may have had a role in us being rejected, may be the only reason we are rejected. At U.S. immigration, it all falls onto your particular
Because
agency.
remember, they were having this thing about how OnlyFans girls couldn't come here?
I don't remember that, but that's actually fascinating. I'm curious. I'm curious to know if there was like a ruling on that, or if like someone actually came out and said that, or if it was just like enough of them tried and failed. I didn't know that.
Remember, this is the same thing.
It is entirely
Because they're
See, I like that he says it's the same thing here, because I personally don't know if I would be so bold as to use my platform to call Charlie Moist Critical a prostitute with absolutely zero foundation to go off of. But he went out and did it, and that's kind of why he's so popular, is because he can just go out and make a statement like, this man is a prostitute, and he's not even afraid of any clapback, not afraid of any retribution for that. And you know, you have to respect that. Honestly, you have to respect that. I would not call him a prostitute, but I'm not him.
discretion
prostitutes.
whether or not you are allowed entry into the country with whatever.
It was
you're
like a whole
submitting and whatever you're doing.
conversation.
In fact, I didn't actually know there were any allegations out against Moist Critical for being a prostitute. So this is news to me right here. I hope we go more in depth on that story, because I need the background for that.
You have an individual agent that handles your case. It is highly possible, and according to some lawyers, not unusual, for them to decline things based on very trivial reasoning. And they never conveyed.
Well, you have to understand that the reason why they decline it. So, in order to understand why do they decline something, so the way the government works, or the way it worked, is that every
Covering his ass the way it worked, because he only knows how it used to work. He doesn't work there anymore.
single job was graded on a 5-point scale. 1 is dog shit, 2 is shit, 3 is okay, 4 is great, 5 is amazing. You have to get a 3. So every single person has their job min-maxed to where the 3 is like usually you working non-stop. So you know what I think probably happened is that declining an application takes less time than approving one.
This is actually dead ass kind of how tech support works in a lot of places. Not the place I work now, but everywhere I've ever worked. A lot of times they judge your productivity based on how many tickets you've closed. So if you've ever been talking to tech support and you've gotten like your ticket closed when your issue wasn't resolved, it's almost certainly because the people who don't close tickets until the issue's actually resolved get fired. They don't get to keep working there because they're not closing enough tickets. So that is kind of why like quantity-based productivity scores are such a bad thing for, you know, customer experience. Because it's literally like the company that I worked for when I was working at the hospital didn't renew my contracts because I wasn't closing enough tickets. Even though everyone I worked with and every ticket I closed, the customer was always satisfied, but they didn't care about that. And also the burden of documentation on something that you actually take action upon as well. It is like it's a system that kind of just makes everything worse because they need a way to measure you.
So they keep declining the application because they don't want to lose their fucking metrics. That's it. It's old info. Yeah.
And that's real. That's real. If you deny that there's a problem, it looks better for you in the lens than through the lens of like management. It looks better for you to deny that there's a problem than to acknowledge and spend time on that problem. It's just faster.
Yeah, maybe it is old info. And that's probably what it could be.
Name was an issue to us, by the way. That would be something that's so petty that they probably would never put it in writing because it's fucking embarrassing and shameful. But it is possible that the name Moist is the reason why. Because moist is a word that is a little yucky to people, makes them feel a little icky.
Yeah,
so
it
whoever
is.
was handling our case maybe just really didn't like that word, didn't take us seriously, and said, nope, we won't be dealing with them. Fuck them.
There is a very good chance that's true. Other orgs got approved? Yeah, but other orgs probably weren't named Moist.
He's so right about that. I don't really know that much about other orgs for Apex, but I do know, like, for 100%, that of all the ones that I know, none of them are called Moist except for this one. So, in fact, I don't think I know of any gaming organization or organization in general for anything that has the word Moist in it. So they're pretty unique in that regard. I mean, I'm sure there is another organization out there somewhere, but they might not be very widely known. I do think that the word Moist, yeah, I mean, he's absolutely right. He's absolutely right.
They're probably named, you know, like Team Solo Mid. TSM. What the fuck is that? I don't know. It's some fucking video game shit. Who cares?
And I
Exactly. I wouldn't care about it. A team called that either.
think that's the most likely possible explanation for this at the moment. Because there's nothing else. There is actually nothing else that could have possibly gone awry in this process on our end. I hope the ghoulish heathen in charge of our case is proud of themselves for this. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just yanking your chain. The only thing I hope for the urinal cake that handled this case is that they get fired. That is the only solace I...
That's a weird way to pronounce promoted. Damn, man. I like... Far from a...
That's a weird way to pronounce fired. Damn, man. I mean, he clearly said that. I mean, I don't know. I mean, I think, is he suggesting that they would get promoted? Probably. But I feel like, given how heavy-handed everything else he said is, he might be going a little bit over the heads of who he expects his chatters to be.
Government job? Yeah, I mean, I hope they get this sorted. This is fucking ridiculous.
I feel like it's already past the point where it's going to get sorted, just based on what I've been seeing. Unless he means, like, on a grander scale getting it sorted, in which case, yeah, good fucking luck.
And I'm sure somebody at the government will find out about this and it will get resolved. But holy shit. This is bad.
will find here is if I let...
What is he being resolved? They've given up on resolving it. They're coming in. They're dropped from the team. They had to get cut. Did you not hear? Okay, whatever.
learn that at some point whoever took this case
Yeah.
is let go
Yeah.
from U.S. immigration because the country would be much better for it. I think they are so bad at their job that it borders on being criminal. Like, they should be charged with treason for how poorly they've handled this case. 6 months. 6 months of work. Well, a little less than 6 months. And never once did they give us a real reason for why we were declined. The reasons they gave us were nonsensical. And when we were inquired for more information to rectify those problems,
I had this happen with, so there was a place that I was using to transfer money, and I tried to transfer, it was like $20,000 or $30,000, and they locked my account. And I tried to call them, I tried to fill out the paperwork, I tried to do everything. Like,
I don't think he tried to sue them. I feel like if I lost, like, I'm not the type of person who's going to go to court because I've been, like, you know, it's just so inconvenient and expensive. If I'm transferring $20,000 somewhere and that money gets deleted, if it's gone, I'm going to find a lawyer, all right? Especially because I apparently have $20,000 that I can just transfer to someone else. I'm definitely in affording a lawyer's shoes. And it's like an open and shut case. I'm almost certain to win because they're literally stealing my money.
sent them like things, I called them, I went through the phone lines, I filled out their questionnaire, I responded to the emails, I did everything. I still don't think that I got that $20,000. I'm pretty sure it is still locked up in that account. And they never told me why they locked the account.
See, this is just not true, okay? Because there's no fucking way that you're just gonna put $20,000 somewhere and then after trying to only appeal to the company why you should have it back, be like, well, I've done all I can do. I guess I'm out $20,000. Whoops. But I mean, okay, maybe he has like an abundance of money. Maybe he's like a billionaire and like $20,000 is no sweat to him. But if I'm a billionaire, I'm still going to court.
I never found out. Now, I assume.
And he's not a billionaire. He's clearly not a billionaire. All right? Like, some of the richest people on earth are billionaires, not this guy.
They probably looked me up. They saw a picture of me. And they saw, oh, that's a drug dealer. Okay, well.
Okay, first of all, you're Jesus Christ. You're not a drug dealer. I mean, this is like Jesus reacts to Jesus. But if they looked you up, they wouldn't just see a picture of you. They'd see the YouTube channel. If you're a Googleable person, if you're getting listed on the first page of results, right, you're clearly not a drug dealer. Like, what drug dealer do you know that you could just Google and, like, they'd be the first person? Like, that's still alive. I'm not talking about fucking Al Capone. He doesn't even count.
Yeah, let's lock this one. Yeah, we don't want to get in trouble again. Yeah, just lock the account. Yeah, tell him that we'll fix it tomorrow, okay? Yeah, just tell him whatever. Yeah, I went for like 6 months for this.
So this happened 6 months ago, and you've given up. You've just resigned not to get that money back. I find that difficult to believe.
He submitted a
I'm calling him. I'm saying he's bullshitting. That is not a true story.
above and beyond the requirements.
Crazy.
And still got declined.
Refund?
3
I couldn't.
times. I think this whole experience should be pretty eye-opening to a lot of people out there.
Yep.
Because you would have made a video about it before 6 months since you made the deposit. You would have called your community against the specific company that you're talking about, or at least warned them not to bank with these people, right? But he doesn't bring in any specifics. He just says they, a place, a thing. I was transferring money somewhere. Like, whoever was making this account for you should be held liable by all means. You should at least mention
Blatant corruption.
like, even if you don't want to call people to like attack them or whatever, at least call them not to try to transfer large sums of money through these people. It's not real. It's not a real story.
In U.S. immigration, like, this is so bad that it's almost comical. Like, if it wasn't so
Also, his facial hair is way too well kept to automatically assume drug dealer.
incredibly detrimental to our organization, I would probably find it laughable. Like, that's
But
how...
you do, so like, there are bad instances, but there are also good instances of the government being bad like this. Like, for example, one time my mom stopped paying the electricity bill, and the government didn't figure it out for 2 years. Yeah, and they never got the money back. Nothing ever happened. She just kept it, and that was it. That's a crime?
I wonder where he lives that electricity comes from the government. I've never lived somewhere or been somewhere where electricity is not a private entity. Also, why did his mom stop paying the electricity bill? How does he know this? Like, I feel like... I mean, I guess it could have been a while ago before you had a YouTube channel. I just, and I'm sure the government does provide the electricity somewhere, just like the city provides water where I live. But I just found that odd. I found that a little weird.
Well, yeah, but the government didn't give a fuck. No back payments? No. There wasn't any back payments or anything like that.
awful, horrible it is, and how bad of a state U.S. immigration is in. Like, just
I'm not gonna say that story is certainly not true, but I just don't feel like, I don't know. I've never heard any other cases where people just get away with not paying their bills for an extended period of time. But then again, it could be that the government was handling it, so we never know.
take a step back and really
Yep.
analyze this. The best lawyers in the world that specialize in this field in particular
Yep.
were unsuccessful in getting squeaky clean Australian gamers.
They do not stand a chance against Deborah, the underpaid government employee that is processing your form while eating a Kit Kat on the phone with her sister. She's not paying attention to any of this. All she's looking forward to is lunch. Every top lawyer doesn't have shit on Deborah. She can...
I feel like they probably would. Now, one of my coworkers is called Deborah, but she doesn't work for the government, nor is she underpaid? So it's probably not her that he's talking about. I feel like the system is probably not designed so that top lawyers couldn't get to Deborah, but it might be pretty fucking difficult to.
Shut them all down.
The country, even when the game they're competing in has the highest level executives saying to U.S. immigration, no, they need to be here, they should be here. All of these extremely powerful parts working together to try and get them into the country, and they couldn't do it.
No
multiple
match
times.
for Deborah the
Now
gatekeeper.
imagine that for someone normal. Just normal, average Joes trying to get into the
Oh,
country
yeah.
and they have to deal
Oh,
with
yeah.
this immigration. What fucking hope is there? What chance do you have? That's going to be like a 20-year process bare minimum.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
inexcusably awful. What a broken fucking machine. The ice cream machines at McDonald's work better than the U.S. immigration process. It's so fucking stupid. I'm actually hitting a full-blown Porky Pig Scatman right now. I'm getting so heated. Like, it's an insult to the word stupid. Moonfall,
I
Madam-
think he needs to understand that this is by design. I genuinely believe that government systems are designed in a way to make them unapproachable, so they have to spend less time dealing with people.
See, he's saying this like it's unjustified for Moist Critical to be this upset, but I respectfully disagree. I think that he is well within his right to be this upset. He definitely got fucked, and there's no get two ways about it. Like, it's not like he doesn't understand, right? And in fact, if he did understand, he might even be even more mad. So, maybe he's saying, I've never seen him this mad, and it's not mad enough.
And I've noticed this with companies too. Have you guys ever had like had to call into like a phone hotline and they were like, yeah, you have to press 7. Okay, then press pound. Oh, you didn't press pound. Okay, you got to start back again. Okay, press 7, then press pound 7-1. Okay. And then, oh, you didn't do it again. Okay. Sorry, sir. We're going to have to hang up on you. Goodbye. And then it's like everything about the system is designed to make it impossible for you to talk to a real person.
This is varying degrees of true. Oftentimes, it's just that they don't want you to talk to a real person and waste that person's time telling you to turn, like, your computer off and on again, for example. Like, they just use that for a filter. Other times, and this is the most frustrating customer support experience I've ever had was actually where I was talking to a real person almost the entire time, and that is, of course, with Adobe, where the department I needed to call isn't on their phone tree, and by the time I did connect with them, which I had to go to somewhere else in the phone tree to connect with them and then like get routed back. Anywho, after that, I had talked to like 8 different human beings, the final level of escalation of which told me to purchase a license that is no longer sold by Adobe, and I got to find that out after the phone call. So, that's like one case, and then there's also the case of where they actually are trying to prevent you from talking to a person, which is Facebook, where there is no person to talk to. So they'll just bounce around their phone network forever, but you would never speak to a person at Facebook. There is no such person. They don't exist.
I would say it's a dark pattern, but it's worse than that. It's like it's the entire thing. Yeah, it's all automated. Yes, it is automated to make it as obstructive as possible.
See, I don't think I would call it a dark pattern. For those of you who don't know, a user experience dark pattern is anything that's in like the UI or UX of anything that's like meant to call you to an action that you wouldn't normally do, like making the accept like join the mailing list button big and sparkly, and the decline mailing list button just a little like hyperlink that's almost the same color as the background. That would be considered a dark pattern. This is more like just fucking obnoxious.
Web, the room, that's stupid. This, it's on a whole new level.
Oh, yeah.
It's in a different dimension, the fucking 6th dimension of
It's a
stupidity.
void
It's a whole
pattern.
new ballgame.
Yeah.
Like,
Oh, yeah.
The fucking poop farter that handled our case. It's giving me a headache. I'm actually going caveman Braden. I'm becoming Cro-Magnon man right now. Just called him a fart pooper or whatever. Like, I'm running out of words in the English language to express the frustration at how incompetent this whole process has been on their end. So yeah, anyway, we had to release our Apex team. They will still be competing at the major, God willing, unless the immigration agent himself.
This is so ridiculous. I don't know why.
If you watch this video back, I'm pretty sure that every time Moist Critical says immigration, this guy pauses the video within like a few seconds, okay? And it's like a sleeper agent code for him, I swear to God. Like, watch whenever he says immigration or U.S. immigration, you wait a few seconds, this video's getting paused.
Why this reminds me of it. But like, this is the level of stupidity that, you remember the South Park episode where they flew the whale to the moon on a rocket ship? That's about where we're at.
I don't remember that South Park episode. That one must have missed me. I watched a lot of them, but I never saw that one.
Turns up and fucking puts the kibosh on it himself, forms like a brick wall of meat and won't let them pass, physically imposing himself on them. But anything shy of that, the boys will be on American soil competing at the major, but
Not
they
under
are no
Moist
longer
Esports.
our team. We had to cut them in order for that to happen. We will, of course, still be cheering for them. We, of course, still want them to win because they deserve it. I think they are the best team in Apex, and I'm still very excited to watch them play.
That's
But it
crazy.
really fucking hurts that it's not Moist Esports that they're...
That is crazy, honestly, he's so right.
Thanks, U.S. immigration. Fuck you. Yep, that's really about it. See ya.
Wow. That is incredible. I work in a call center and we automate so much because we're getting such an influx of new customers, and our shitty company underpays, overworks, and understaffs us. So we literally don't have enough time to answer everyone's calls. Yes, I genuinely
read that from
believe that
chat.
a lot of these call systems nowadays are designed in a way to make it almost impossible to figure out what's going on. They're done like this on purpose. The great filter, Deborah. Yeah, exactly. And like, I remember, again, they just don't give a fuck. And the reason why they don't give a fuck is that there will never be any negative consequences to their behavior. And the best thing about it is that even whenever they do everything wrong and quantitatively they're bad at their job, people still don't get fired. Like,
So
I
real.
remember 1 year.
He's so real for that. He's so real. They just get to keep doing whatever it is they're doing. Well, and a lot of times it's people who are in charge of if they're going to get fired or not. So, like, really.
I went there, and there were a bunch of people who didn't do anything. The next year, they're back. Why did you bring her back? She doesn't do anything.
Wait, he went where? I feel like he just said, I went there, and there were people who didn't do anything, and then the next year they were back. Is he talking about when he worked for the government? I feel like I needed a little bit more context here.
All she does is sit there and eat food. That's it. And complain. Yeah, when it comes to the Mexican border, I don't know. It would have been a better idea. AI replaced them first. Yes, just eat hot chip and lie. Literally worked with Deborah at my last county job. Yeah, it's really bad, man. This is... I don't even know what to do about something like this. It's almost impossible to know what to do. That sucks. So, like, their team is still competing, but they can't compete under their brand name.
I feel like maybe, just maybe, if once you're in the country, how are they going to stop you from competing under that name? Right? Like, is the government going to show up to the convention and be like, wait, we noticed that you called yourself... Like, clearly they don't give a fuck, right? Like, it just won't say that on their airline ticket? I don't know. Maybe I don't understand the legal hemming and hawing here. I don't exactly understand. I mean, it feels deceitful, but it also is, you know. Well, yeah.
Oh my god, that's so
Oh my
fucking
God.
stupid.
Real.
Biden government? No, you don't understand, okay?
This
is
transcends any
something that
one man.
transcends presidents.
That's what I'm saying.
They survived this, okay? Like, Trump thought he could drain the swamp. He didn't realize how deep it was. These people have a 22-year career doing nothing and being paid $37 an hour for it.
He's talking about Congress, probably.
They are
He's
going
talking about immigration, but
to fight tooth and nail to have pizza parties every other day.
that's Congress.
And then the days that are not having pizza parties, they're having potlucks. Or birthday parties. Or there's some other fucking thing that's another excuse for them not to work. A pancake luncheon. Yeah, there you go. A team building. Popcorn. Oh, it's a movie day. Their son's birthday. Yep. It is nuts, man. Check the logs. It's not the whole truth. I work in immigration. There's 3 cases filed against Moise in America. I guarantee you that that's not true, because if you were expressing that and looking
Dude, this
through
man
that,
says a lot of untrue shit for someone who's going to call someone else out now. I mean, he's probably right, but I'm just saying.
you probably can't do that because you probably don't have access to the database on your own personal computer. And if you did, you would know not to display or talk about the information. You don't know what you're talking about. You have no idea. You're talking shit. I think this is just the new normal. This is the way every other company system is going to work. This will be the new normal for everything. Imagine role-playing as American immigration officer? Yeah. Even unclassified data still goes through filters for official use only. Yeah, like they told us, like, if you're talking or disseminating like outside or inside data to outside people, like you got
Outside or inside data is an interesting subcategory of data. I believe it includes all data.
like huge trouble. And so yeah, you're if you're doing that, you're an idiot, you know? If they tell everybody exactly what they need to get in, it makes it easier to get in, meaning more work for the workers. Exactly. So the better idea is to not tell anybody anything, and then it's all kind of like a mystery and nobody really knows who does anything wrong. It's just like, oh, what is this? What's going on? Like, oh, I don't really know. Like, you know. And so that's the difference. Sounds like the way YouTube bans people. Exactly. And it works. There's no audit. There is, but you have to understand that the audit takes 9 months. And then sometimes the audit isn't completed, or it's done by one person and then finished by...
See, he might actually know more about how immigration works than he even lets on, because he just said I worked for the government, but now he's going into the nitty gritty of it. He knows how long the audit takes.
another, so it's incomplete, and then it has to go back to probably some sort of reset. And then after you do the audit, sometimes the person who does the audit doesn't actually read anything, the same as YouTube. And so, yeah, it's just, again, there's never a way. Like, whenever you do something through the government, there is a chance that you can roll a 1. Which is the worst
See, he's bringing in the Dungeons and Dragons argument.
possible outcome for no reason. And it is, again, probably going to be RNG.
RNG, dude, that's how they get you. The government with RNG. Wow. Really makes you wow. Really makes you want to go on a 10-minute tangent about how bureaucracy works, but unfortunately for me, I'm pretty strapped for time right now, so I'm going to have to call it here, but thank you all for watching. I'm glad that we could the only thing that I'm really disappointed about at this juncture is that we never really got to hear his perspective. When, like, what have we ever seen him this mad? Have you ever seen him this mad? I know what the title says, but I feel like we didn't reflect on that at all. We never went into the minutia of that. When was the previous most mad you'd ever seen him? You know what I'm saying? At any rate, that'll be all for now.